On the sheet of paper in front of me, I wrote a column losers. And the first thing under losers is SF. I'm on the same page with you, man. You went over the 4 times that they're going to be facing a team coming off a bye. Let me add to that. Travel. They have the second most travel in the NFL. 29,958 miles. Like, if we flip it, if we go on the opposite end, say, oh, well, a couple thousand miles here, a couple thousand miles there, that's not a big deal. The least amount of travel, Cincinnati Bengals. They're traveling just under 12,000. And I repeat, the Niners are at 30,000. That's a pretty big difference going through 36 time zones this season for the Niners. I want to talk about the NFC South, because I think the win totals are interesting. No matter how you shape it, they all have the easiest schedule because it's a terrible division. And then they get the softer division over on the AFC side. And then you have the Saints, a team that does have 3 straight home games as well. Their win total's 9.5 after the addition of Carr. 9.5. Atlanta's 8.5. Carolina's 7.5. What? I don't know. What's going to happen to this division? Do you have an opinion on any win total, anything? Is it Bucks last place? What do you think?
I think it's Bucks last place. I do think it's kind of the Saints or busts in the NFC South this year. I mean, they're very much going to have the offense in place. To Derek Carr, if he gets close to that 2021 form with the Raiders, like, they're going to be a difficult out. And I do think that, you're going through their schedule. Like, they have the easiest kind of strength of schedule from our metric that we just talked about previously by a pretty decent margin at this point. A lot of it is the division, but somebody has to win those games, right? So I do think that if they even go, 4-2 in division, they're set up really well, I would say, to go over that 9.5 game win total. I do like them probably a little bit more, in to win the NFC South, especially if you're getting just a slight plus price, which is where it was at a couple of days ago, at like plus 110 or something. Very much missed the best of the number, but this is kind of a veteran-laden team that does seem like they need to put it together. And in such a weak division, I think they're probably the only opportunity, I would say, to bet right now.
The reaction, some people get mad about everything, but it's like they can't do anything right with any primetime game. The Thanksgiving games are the worst. The opening night game is the worst. The Christmas sucks, and people always find a way to complain, and those are going to be the same people betting a lot of dollars and watching every single second and paying for the NFL package on YouTube and everything.
If you think about it, okay, Bengals Chiefs, I think everyone would agree that's a fantastic matchup. And if you don't think it's a fantastic matchup, then you're not paying attention in the slightest. That's not until New Year's Eve. Okay, so fine. The NFL, maybe they're trying to sort of build up to, the main events later in the season that will probably be impactful as far as the top seed in this respective conference, whatever. It's one of those things where there aren't that many matchups that you can come up with off the top of your head that are feasible, that are going to be those much watch kind of situations. Like when Brady went up against Peyton Manning, that's one, but then there aren't many others you can point to say, okay, we need to see this matchup and it's going to happen whenever. So, okay, week 1, how many Chiefs games can you point to say, okay, this is super exciting, we got to come out with a bang right away? Well, there aren't that many. Like, it's the Bengals, and I'd have to look more deeply at it. But to get the Lions for opening night, that's not bad to me. I mean, Detroit, Green Bay last season to wrap up the season, that was great television. The Lions have become a great watch. Whether you like them or not, whether you're tailing them or fading them, that is a great watch. And even though it's a 7-point spread, these spreads tend to be large for opening day anyway, because guess what? It's the Super Bowl champion at home when everybody's in a frenzy. So it's going to have a large spread to begin with. Now, if you want to back the Lions because it's too big, that's fine. But sometimes these opening night games tend to be snoozers, and that's okay because football is back, and that's all that matters. I want to be the first show since the schedule release, the first show to talk about a week 1 teaser. Who are the best candidates to put together a week 1 teaser with? Now,
what a
I am
football
a
Friday this is.
This
The
is
Football
terrific.
Friday BetQL Daily Teaser is back.
I am ready to party, man. I am ready to go. We know what long teasers are. Do we need to go over those, or are we good?
Do we need a
in terms of
refresher?
making sure to...
A quick refresher?
Okay, sure. Okay, key numbers in terms of betting are 3 and 7 because most NFL games have a 3-point difference or a 7-point difference in your final. So if you are looking for a teaser where you are adding 6 points, you want to make sure to go through 3 and go through 7 so that you can get to those key numbers and the chances are much better for you that they will hit. So that's how I do it. Whenever I'm looking for teasers, it's always a long teaser, whether it's 1.5, 2.5, something like that. Those are the numbers that I'm looking for. So there are a couple of 3s, but they've moved to 3 since I put together my candidates. But still, let's work with what we have here. So Joe, here are my 4 candidates for a teaser, and I want you to tell me which 2 you like. Browns plus 8.5 against the Bengals. Raiders plus 9 against the Broncos. Dolphins plus 8.5 against the Chargers. Steelers plus 9.
Vegas plus 9.
Mm-hmm.
And boy. Well, if I'm betting Pittsburgh plus 3, I'm betting them plus 9, right? I almost said Cleveland. But that, I still want to see it. So Pittsburgh, Vegas is where I would go.
And they continue to have a really high ceiling. I mean, just because things didn't work out this go round doesn't mean that they can't going forward. The question, though, is what do we think? What are we to think of the Suns going forward? The questions involved Chris Paul. What does he have left in the tank? And I think that's probably exacerbated by him missing part of this series. DeAndre Ayton's lack of aggressiveness, that was highly relevant in this particular series. It was a problem against the Clippers, but it became a real problem against the Nuggets. And the lack of depth. Now, some of that can be supplemented, and some of those things can be addressed in this offseason. But I wonder, in terms of quicker fixes, what the real solutions might be. And does that mean that Monty Williams isn't long for Phoenix? I'm not sure. Certainly, he deserves a role in the NBA. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to bash the guy. But at the same time, do the Suns feel like they need to go in a different direction because they've sort of put themselves in this corner where they just don't have that many options?